right, welcome to Going the Distance, the Rocky Series podcast. I'm your host, and with me, as always, is Kyle and Katie and Kyle. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
I'm doing great. Been back to work now, but I had a really good Christmas break. Probably the best staycation or holiday I've had in years. So I'm feeling refreshed and feeling good. It's super cold here right now. In Celsius, it was like minus 35 today.
It's gross.
In Fahrenheit, that's like about minus 25.
Oh, is it? Okay, God, I could not do calculations.
But Colorado gets cold.
Well, it's actually not that cold. We do have a cold snap right now, and actually we got our second snow today, which is unusual. Our first snow in Denver was on January 1st, which is really late. Every year for the last 5 years, it gets later and later. I think it broke a record in history for the latest first snow. It was really pretty for snow, but it was pretty brisk on my afternoon walk today.
Was it nipply?
It was.
You're lucky you don't commute. I was looking at the traffic layer on Google Maps that highlights traffic, and sometimes I zoom out just to see cities like in North America, how they're doing. And Denver was just red, all red. It must be the snowstorm or something like that. But it looks like traffic ground to a halt.
Oh, I wonder why. Because it didn't start snowing until this afternoon, but...
I looked at it this afternoon. It was around 4:30.
Yep, that's probably what it was. You saying you went back to work. I permanently work from home. It's not like a temporary COVID situation. And I have been doing that for several years now. And I honestly cannot imagine having to drive to an office. There's so much I do between things now at home. I mean, I guess I don't have a spouse to help out. I don't know how I would get laundry done or deal with the dogs. So I'm very thankful that I'm still at home.
I wish I could work from home, but I'm on vacation still. I just have I have a few duty watches I'm doing but I get a lot of leave after the deployment. So the bad news is I was on a 4-month deployment. The good news is I get almost 3 months off when I get home. So my wife's already sick of me. So
I doubt that.
I got a question, Ryan. When you're on deployment, are you just working 7 days a week?
When you're in port, like a port visit, that's your break. If you don't have a duty watch, if it's not your turn. But so if you're on break, but during COVID, we couldn't really go anywhere. We were restricted to very few locations. But when you're at sea, it's 5 hours on, 5 hours off, 7 hours on, 7 hours off. That is it. Monday to Sunday. There's no weekends. It's just you're working.
Wow.
You'll never get 8 hours of sleep in a row then.
Oh, no. You're always napping for your 5-hour shift. Then you have a longer nap for your 7-hour shift.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, let's get into it. People have already dropped out because they're sick of our talk. This is exciting. We actually have a couple of visitors in our Discord, so let me plug this again. And like I said, I'm going to keep plugging it until people understand how cool it is to join our Discord, because right now we have 2 members in our Discord right now. In fact, a new person who's just shown up. This individual, her name is Melissa. She's actually sent us an email. Funny enough, she gave us an email that we're going to read. So she's going to watch live. So this is the beauty, guys. If you join our Discord, you can watch this live. You don't even have to wait till we edit everything.
I hope it's up too. I hope she's like, you guys are clowns.
And since Melissa's joining our Discord for the first time, she can now hear the live unedited versions of our podcast where Kyle swears and Ryan has to edit that for the PG-friendly version on our iTunes feed. Anyway, so again, in the description of every episode is the Discord invite, but also I update the Facebook group and Twitter when we go live with the invite as well. So there's many opportunities for you to join us and understand how this goes. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. I think it's really cool, but we're hoping more people will show up. Also, if you want to be a supporter like Melissa of our Patreon, that's in the description as well. What does Patreon give you? Well, absolutely nothing other than the fact that you're just saying, hey, Ryan, thanks for the show. And thanks for all your editing that you do for the stuff. Like you have to edit Kyle and stuff. And also helps pay for the feed. It supports the show. It's like as we get more patrons, yes, I would like to have patron exclusive content. I really want to do that. I just need some ideas from our listeners, what they would like to see. Message us, say, hey, if I was a patron, I would like to have this from you guys. So we will do it. Whether it's a strip show or whatever, we'll do it. Okay.
I'll do that.
Yeah, Kyle will do it for free.
Well, actually, the thing with me is I won't do it if you pay for Patreon. So I think that might motivate people to pay.
Good point.
Because you want fewer people to view, or what's...
No, I think people will not want to see me naked, so they're going to pay up to avoid it.
Pay to keep his clothes on, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And we're excited. People did send us an email. So we got a couple of emails to read. Again, our email is gtdwithrr@gmail.com. Check the show description for that email address as well. Katie, get into it. Why don't you read Melissa's first since she's here?
Well, hello, Melissa. Glad to have you while we read your email. I'll try not to F it up. Okay, so Melissa writes, Hi, Ryan, Katie, and Kyle. Happy New Year, and I hope you all had a good holiday season. I reactivated my Patreon for you guys because I realized just how much I love your podcast, and I missed it so much while you were sailing. I'm also going to try and email you guys more. I always intend to when I listen, and then I forget. Turning over new leaves for the new year, haha.
I'm glad we can shame our listeners. Yeah.
Well, we are still, what they say, the stat about like how long it takes people to like let go of their New Year's resolutions. It's not even in February, I think, but hopefully Melissa will keep it up. So she says, now about the episode and film, number 11, first fight between Creed and Drago. I agree with Katie's friend. The pie eating contest line in 5 is hilarious. Indeed. Glad she's liking the Rocky movies. I think that beside the music, 5 is aging pretty well. I like it much better now than I did years ago. It has some good gems in it, and I think that many people, including Sly, are too hard on that film. It isn't on par with other Rockies, but it's definitely a better film than 50% or more than what Hollywood cranks out. Couldn't agree more.
There's a lot of shit out there.
Yeah. And Sly is pretty hard on it.
I think he does it to placate the Rocky fandom. I think he's placating the wrong group of fans, if that makes sense. We've talked about this, of course, ad nauseum, but if you're a first-time listener to the show or forget, we've talked about how Rocky V is really maligned against the other Rocky films. If you were to take this film and watch it by itself, in fact, just bring somebody and say, hey, come check out this Rocky film who's never seen a Rocky film, you'll still be able to follow the family drama of it all. I don't think it'd be that difficult. It's not really a brain surgery movie. I don't think anyone would leave that film recognizing it came from 1990 and leave that film thinking, well, this is a garbage film. They would have nothing to relate it to in the Rocky universe. Like Melissa is saying, against other films, especially of today, like it's a good film. It's a family drama with a fight at the end.
I've never thought of this before. Perhaps you guys have. Kind of similar to what you were saying, Ryan. I think 5 could theoretically exist without any of the other Rocky movies. Like if you just wrote a script about a boxer who lost his fortune and had to move back to the old neighborhood and stuff like that, that's doable. That movie could theoretically exist on its own like that. Something like Rocky IV must have knowledge of the previous films to really appreciate Rocky IV. But 5's not like that, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, agreed.
And also, I think for Sly, I get the impression from him, he kind of craves the validation from the fans on the movies. He likes that attention. He likes that validation. One of the reasons probably why he doesn't like 5 is because people don't like 5.
I totally agree.
Absolutely. So Melissa goes on to say, awesome catch on the Ivan Drago line error, Katie. Why, thank you.
That was good.
As far as my thoughts on the fight, I agree. It was a physically brutal scene. However, I may be bad because I don't feel much emotion about it because I don't think that Adonis is very likable. I barely care about him getting pummeled. I actually feel more emotion for Victor than Adonis because of Ivan pushing him so hard. Same. I share your sentiments, Melissa. And then she goes on to say, we haven't even gotten to the part where Adonis is so rude to Rocky in the hospital. He really ticks me off in that scene. I feel bad that I'm always downing on Adonis. I guess I just feel that what I love the most about all of the Rocky films is the heart that they have. Rocky, Adrian, Apollo, Robert, and even Mickey and Polly have heart at times. Adonis and Bianca don't have that same heart. They do come across with more heart in this film than in the first Creed movie, but it just doesn't compare to the Rockies. Anyway, still really enjoy the film and love your guys' take on it and agree with almost everything you say. I almost forgot. I was lucky enough to see Rocky IV Director's Cut in the theater. It was so much fun to see it like that with a theater full of other Rocky fans. I talked to several people about their thoughts, and overall, everyone liked it. I liked it a lot, and while I don't think it replaces the original cut, I consider it as a companion piece. And I hope that it's released on DVD or Blu-ray so I can add to my collection. I will always welcome more Rocky. All the best, Melissa Nolan. Great email, Melissa. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Hey, yeah, thanks a lot, Melissa.
Well said. I think we all are on the same page with her. She says she only agrees with most of our takes. How dare she? She should agree with all of our takes, especially my takes. All right, so we got our favorite German wrote us.
Episode 10 and 11. Hello, Ryan, Kyle, and Katie. Great episodes as always. Good to have you back.
Oh, we got to say who it is.
This is from Patrick.
Yeah.
Okay. I sort of make an assumption that people know by our favorite German who you mean, but yes, Patrick, our biggest German fan. Great episodes as always. Good to have you back. I couldn't join you on Discord on episode 10 as the time difference between Canada and Germany is a bit of a problem sometimes. For episode 11, I somehow didn't get an email from Patreon to join.
Again, for the Discord, how it works is the invite will come. I can actually put it in Patreon if people receive it that way as well, but it's not for Patrons only is what I'm getting at. The Discord is free for everybody to join and anyone to join. I will update Facebook, Twitter, but I guess there's some people who only use Patreon who watch our show, so I will also then, thank you for reminding me, Patrick. I didn't do it today. I apologize for this recording. I'll update Patreon as well that we're going live. So I think Patrick doesn't use Facebook, so that might be why. That's the answer to that question. Okay.
Okay. But if you're willing to have some guests again on the Creed 2 season finale, I'll be there. My time on that episode of the first Creed was great fun. By the way, don't you do video recordings anymore? There aren't any for episodes 10 and 11 at least.
Okay, so let me explain that. Since I've been back from the deployment, I admit I have been like discombobulated between Christmas and recording the shows. I've been really bad about uploading the videos to YouTube. So yes, so that was episode 10. Episode 11, I messed up the recording. Thankfully, guys, I got the audio. That's why I always do an audio check, but I was on the wrong setting on my OBS, and it only recorded the audio, not the video. So that's why episode 11 never went up as a video. So now this is episode 12. Knock on wood, it will go up on YouTube. And if you want to see it, check out the YouTube. I'll have a link in the description of the show as well. So you get to see what Discord looks like. That way people can see what it is that we see and how people can interact and get an idea. It's not that confusing once you're in Discord. Yeah, so there you go. That's the answer to that question, Patrick.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
So Patrick goes on to say, regarding episode 11, I have to say that the amount of punishment Adonis receives from Victor and the way he tries to still pull through really should make Adonis more sympathetic or more rootable for, as in parentheses, is that proper English? First of all, I cannot love Patrick more for asking us this proper English because I guess I can't speak for Canadians or Australians or Brits, but his English is better than the average American.
Yeah. Have you heard Americans speak?
Quite good. Even his spoken English, his accent's quite mild. His German accent's not really strong. He's super easy to understand. Your English is excellent, sir. Although I don't think what he said there was proper English, though.
It's not proper, but it's things. It's like something.
I think she froze. Yeah, we'll just wait for her to catch up.
I thought it was me because you seemed like you were frozen.
I was waiting. I didn't want.
That's a funny pose that she's in right now in her frozen
I feel bad.
state.
See, that's going to go out on YouTube. I don't edit the video. Hopefully she comes back sooner than later. Oh, there. I think she might have re-entered the chat. Okay, we're back to recording. Okay, so yeah, rootable is not a word. However, I'm sure German or any language has the same idea that we understand what you meant. It's not a real word.
Yeah.
But it works. We get it. It's a made up word that works. Yeah.
Well, and slang and jargon and stuff. These are things that I actually would argue that it's a person, if they can understand humor and jargon and slang, then you understand, you're more well versed in that language.
Right.
Rootable is something I could see Rocky saying.
Yeah.
So in the spirit of the podcast, then rootable, I think, counts for that reason alone.
I will accept it. Going on, Patrick says, I know that you have problems with Adonis's likability, and I don't, as I've often mentioned before, but I wouldn't say that Apollo in Rocky 2 is more likable. He's fascinating, yes, but likable? After watching Rocky 3 and Rocky 4, we see Apollo much differently, of course, but I remember as a kid, he really was intimidating to me.
I want to challenge that a little bit, and I don't want to start World War III with Germany. However,
usually they start the war, so
I think he might go on to explain it, and so I don't want to take away from what he's about to explain because he explains it in parts. Oh, does he talk about parts 3 and 4?
Well, he just said that after watching 3 and 4, we see Apollo much differently, of course. But I remember as a kid, he was really intimidating to me.
Okay.
In 2, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's a little bit of a retcon. So if you go back and watch part 2, after knowing parts 3 and 4, we kind of know where the Apollo character goes. I understand that. I could also argue in 2 films with Adonis, there hasn't been any change in his likability. So it's kind of like, is that change going to happen in part 3? Maybe. But even in part 1, we liked Apollo. We had no issues with Apollo. He wasn't a villain. Part 2, he wasn't so much he was a villain that he was angry at the fans. He was angry at himself. It was a combination. He was embarrassed. His pride was hurt. But even he didn't hate the Stallion. He just did everything he could to get the Stallion back in the ring. He just took the fight more seriously. He just wasn't fooling around. But still, there's something about Adonis that's the likable character, meaning I don't think we're supposed to like Apollo in part 2. That's the problem for Adonis, is that in Rocky 2, it's not designed for us as a fan or a watcher of the film to like Apollo. He played the role that he played perfectly. Great. He came after Rocky. You wanted Rocky to fight. You want to get Rocky in the ring. Whatever it takes to get him back, and whatever it takes. I'll be the villain. I don't care. Just get this guy back in the ring. Now, with Adonis, a lot of his motives and his reasoning and the way he is with Rocky, it's just disheartening that, like Melissa said in her email, like the way we're going to see it in the hospital, the way he treats Rocky. It's really hard to root for this guy when he's just so crappy to Rocky in the jail in Creed Part 1, in the hospital in Creed Part 2. We have to keep rooting for this guy? Why? He's a jerk to people.
Yeah, I'd say for Apollo 2, when it comes to likability, I guess it depends on what you mean by likability, because I agree in 3 and 4, especially in 4, he's certainly more jovial. He has kind of an infectious laugh, infectious smile. He's very likable in that sense. But kind of like what you were saying in Rocky 2, you don't see that in him, but you wouldn't expect to. A better description of Apollo in Rocky 2 would be he's understandable. He reacts how a lot of people would react in that situation. He's embarrassed, but he didn't do anything, for example, in the fight that a villain would do. He didn't cheat. He didn't take any cheap shots. He was just being a good fighter. He didn't do anything that was immoral in that. Where Drago, for example, cheated by using steroids, or Clubber Lang was just an asshole, sexually harassing Adrian, or so.
Hey, woman.
Yeah. Hey, woman. Hey, woman. So, yeah, I get that, though. I see Patrick's point of view, though, especially as a kid. I don't think I found Apollo likable as a kid either, especially in the second film. So
yeah, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, he was just super charismatic.
You took the words right out of Louise's mouth here in the Discord chat. He said that Apollo... so Louise in our Discord says Apollo was always charismatic, and Adonis just doesn't have that same charisma.
Yeah, for sure. But I will say, Patrick, I understand what you're saying. We don't like Adonis as much as perhaps you do, but your point about him pulling through should make us more sympathetic to his character. I will say that I agree that he's got heart, kid, after that. That's about it.
Yeah. We saw he had heart, too, in his fight against Conlon, right? He took a pretty vicious beating in that fight. Adonis's toughness is never in question. Adonis is not a wimp. He's not a coward.
Not a coward, yeah. But I wouldn't call him tough.
I'd say he's pretty tough. He could take a hit, right? He took a vicious beating from Conlon. He took a vicious beating from Drago, and he still got up. So it's his heart and toughness is there. I think the problem is this first fight with Victor Drago, the beating is expected. You know what's going to happen. It's not like it's going to be a fairly even fight, and then Victor just squeaks in on points or a last-minute knockdown. You know it's going to be a vicious beatdown. And so it's Adonis is basically just meeting expectations by getting up. It's we know you're not going to die, so anything short of that is just what we think you'd do.
Melissa in our chat said, Apollo made me so mad in part 2 how he taunted Rocky. She didn't like that. The scene where Rocky and Buckus watch TV makes her sad. And she also said that Adonis is physically strong but has no heart. And I just want to add, I don't know if it's Adonis the issue or it's Michael B. Jordan. And I hate putting it on the actor. And I got this weird feeling. My gut instinct is, I don't know if Michael B. Jordan's a good actor. I don't know. I'm just not. So is the problem the character, or is it Michael B.'s acting? Honestly,
I'm trying to uncover that for how I feel about it too, because I have said before that I disagree. He's the hot actor for the last however long. I think I've even said it before, any role for like a youngish, physically fit black man, everybody's like Michael B. Jordan. And I know part of that is just capitalizing on his popularity or his star power. But I think he's like super overrated. But I have vowed to go back and watch some of his other movies. I am not a fan of superhero movies. I think that largely it's bad acting. I'm probably going to be shot here on this podcast for saying that, but they're not great movies. It's just all CGI. You might as well have a cartoon. So having said that, I still haven't seen some of Michael B's other roles aside from when he was a child in
The Wire.
The Wire. So I want to go back and look at some of the others to see if it's him or if it's his character.
That's fair. And I've only seen him in Black Panther.
A Panther. I guess I've seen Black Panther too, yeah.
I couldn't finish it. It was a horrible movie.
Yeah. I didn't like it either. I think we talked about it.
I think at the end of the day is that I'm racist. So, no.
I was going to make a joke about that. I was going to be like...
Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't think he's a very good actor. So what I need to do is see, he's had a couple films come out. The one where he's a lawyer or something, or there's a law one or something. So I'll do that. And so that's just a good old-fashioned drama. If he can knock out this drama, then good. So I'll make that my personal challenge to see that drama film that he's in with this law drama, whatever it was called. I'll check it out, and I'll come back and report.
I've had this argument with some of my friends, and they think I'm crazy. Okay, he's got a hot bod.
Well, sure.
His face isn't hot. You guys have probably gathered by now that I like a very sculpted jawline and all that business, and he doesn't have that. So
that's fine. You're allowed to be attracted. You're allowed to be attracted to.
Yeah, he's not ugly. I don't know if you guys have met me, but I'm super picky. I've been in love with him since the 90s, but Morris Chestnut, also Shamar Moore, one Mr. Tupac Shakur. Those are probably some of my ultimates.
Okay, that's cool. I'm not attracted to any black man or white man for that matter, but
Patrick is not done with his email.
Oh, Patrick, sorry.
Patrick says, a little side note, there's an exhibition of Sly's paintings in an art gallery in Hagen in Germany, about a 1-hour drive from my hometown. So one of the first things I'll do in 2022 is visit the gallery with my wife to see about 90 of Sly originals. Good stuff. Looking forward to the next episodes. Cheers, your biggest German fan, Patrick. Patrick, can I Venmo you some money? And I mean, I don't know if these are for sale or if they're just on display. Just kidding. I'm just a ham and egger. I don't have any money.
I was going to say, wow.
But still, that's awesome. And I'm
very
jealous.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, there you go. We'd love hearing from our listeners. So that's very cool. Thank you so much, Patrick and Melissa, for that. And hopefully our other listeners enjoyed that discussion. Okay. So where we last left off was, Adonis got the crap kicked out of him. We didn't know if he was going to live or die. He lived. And we're about to see the hospital sequence. So we're just going to play some of the movie and then we'll talk to it. Here we go.
Cracked orbital bone, 2 cracked ribs, grade 3 concussion, ruptured kidney, numerous contusions.
Ruptured kidney, is that?
His injuries will heal with rest and time, including the kidney. Now, we shouldn't have to resort to surgery, but we will need to keep him here for at least 48 hours, as a precaution. Now, he's still numb from the morphine, but he'll certainly feel it later.
Okay.
You okay?
I just got a sip.
If you're expecting.
No, I'm fine.
No, seriously. Take it easy, okay?
He listed off all the injuries that he's got. Only 48 hours? I mean, it sounds like he's near death. Yeah, he'll be here for 2 days.
I don't know. I maybe am just becoming numb to so much violence because I've been watching Ray Donovan. But that list didn't seem that I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
There are serious injuries, but aside from the ruptured kidney, the rest of it kind of seems par for the course for a boxing match. And
what else would there be, really? You have rib damage, kidney would be expected in a box match, like you said, and then he's concussed and his bones in his face are broken. That's about as bad as you could really expect. Mm-hmm. That reminds me of boxing. Anyone who are Mike Tyson fans? After Mike Tyson got out of prison, he fought a guy named Andrew Galata, and Galata quit after 2 rounds, I think. And people were like throwing ice and garbage at him, and they were mad at him for quitting. But he ended up having a concussion like that and cracked, I can't remember what it's called. Like, I want to say orbital bone, but that's not right. But it basically got a skull fracture. What he had, that actually sounds kind of similar to what happened to Adonis. That's a pretty vicious beating for a boxing match there. Like, that's pretty serious.
True. I guess like I don't know. I'm used to like the Rocky movies. It's seemingly more severe, but this is more modern times.
Apollo had internal bleeding, which I would say is more serious. Rocky 2, there's that scene when Rocky opens the door at night in the hospital and he asks Apollo, I just got one question, did you give me your best? And you see the contrast. Rocky's whole face is wrapped up and Apollo has something over his eye. And I remember thinking as a kid, like, wow, look at the difference in who's damaged more. But in actuality, Apollo was probably just as damaged, but a lot of the damage was internal. I think in that sense, Apollo probably got it worse in the first Rocky fight than Adonis got in this fight. Probably by virtue of the fact that Apollo Rocky fights were 15 rounds of punishment, where this was kind of condensed into, I think, 3 rounds, if I remember right.
Yeah.
If you recall in the first Creed movie, Marianne, she was saying how she had to wipe for Apollo. So I'm wondering if Bianca's going to have to experience that for the first time, too.
Well, it's going to be good practice for the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you can handle that, then a baby's like, no problem.
Katie, you still there? All right, we're recording again. Okay, so tell me if you guys can see this. I changed my setup a little bit, so just tell me if you can hear and see this.
Excuse me, Dr. Yule. You have a visitor.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's good.
Okay.
Right this way.
Bianca, I'm so sorry. Everything. I should have been there. I'm so sorry.
Me too.
It's okay if I see him.
What difference do it make to us? We saw what happened.
So Rocky's come. Remind me again where he is, where the fight is. The fight's in New York, so he...
Yeah, this is probably it's a New York hospital.
Philly, New York's not that big of a bus ride, or...
No, it took me like an hour and something by train to get there. You could probably drive to New York in an hour and a half, is my guess. Maybe 2 hours. Great
acting on Sly's part there, the look of remorse and what have you. And there's a part of me that almost thought that Bianca was going to slap him. I know she wouldn't, but you're so used to those shows or TV tropes where the guy's apologetic and gets slapped for not being there, so to speak. You could tell that he's in pain, and Bianca recognized that and just hugged him. And that would, that's the best response you could do. Just no words need to be said. Just, hey, we're both in pain here. And of course, she knows that Rocky loves Adonis.
Well, she wasn't really game for Adonis doing this fight anyway. I'd say she was probably more on Rocky's side in that situation than she was Adonis. So I think she'd be more upset with Rocky if Rocky pushed him into this fight and Adonis got hurt as a result.
Good point. Yeah, she was there for Adonis as the wife, but I think, of course she agrees with Rocky's assessment that he wasn't ready or able to do this, because look at the results.
Yeah.
What they supposed to be doing? I don't care. Right. Okay. Got it. WBC's not going to contest the referee's decision, so Victor remains disqualified. Bottom line, you're still a champ. I'm gonna let you rest, man. So if you need something, I'm outside.
All right. How do you feel, Adonis? You're still the champ. It feels good, doesn't it?
Feels great.
Everyone knows you should have lost that fight and you only won by a technicality, and everyone knows your championship is bullshit now, and you're embarrassed that you just got owned by this nobody who is a legitimately good fighter, but still a nobody. Yeah, that would suck. If that were me, my physical injuries would be the least of my concern at this point.
Man, I won, but I didn't beat him.
You can make an argument that Apollo won that fight, though.
Yeah.
He really did beat him. Yeah. In this case, it was so clear that Victor should have won that fight. He did get legitimately disqualified. Had he not done something so stupid, he was clearly the better fighter that night. No question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all he had to do was wait for Adonis to get up on his legs and punch him again.
Yeah.
Tony Jr., that was him talking for our listeners. He's going to leave the room. Adonis, during that whole conversation, was looking away, was not making eye contact with him. And now Bianca's walking in with Rocky. So, hey, you're still the champ. And speaking of champs, Rocky's about to visit you there, buddy. That should make you feel good.
You could hear him groan when he's told he's still the champ. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know, maybe the stress of this whole thing makes you, or maybe he was physically feeling bad and it was a coincidence. He almost seems sad that he was still the champ.
Yeah, he's frustrated. I think he's saying, I don't really want to hear this right now. I don't really care. That doesn't make me feel good. He's destroyed by the guy, but he recognizes too, this is, I'm going to say embarrassing, but I think he's just saying, yay, I'm the champ as I'm lying in a hospital without being able to move. It's small comfort. And I think he's just reacting negatively. I think he wants to scream, but it's almost too painful to talk.
In his mind, he's lost his championship. Even if the WBC doesn't think so, for him, it doesn't matter what they think. In his mind, he's not the champ.
Well, for the first time in life, he's afraid.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the eye of the tiger anymore. What movie are we watching? I know. So here comes Rocky. You got me curious, Adonis.
Got some company, D.
He looks at Rocky and he looks pissed. Why is he so angry?
I don't know if that's anger.
I'm going with anger there. He sees Rocky and he's pissed off.
It's that same sound that you were talking about a little earlier, Kyle. That moan or grunt. Ugh.
Yeah.
By his face, he almost looks more surprised to me. What are you doing here?
Those two on our Discord, let us know what you think. All right, let's keep playing.
You still good?
We tried.
So you just told Tony Jr. you did good. Okay, you lie good.
Well, you know what? Tony Jr. did a fine job.
Yeah.
Adonis didn't listen to him.
That's true.
So.
No, I know. Rocky told him the truth.
Yeah.
You know, I watched you back in Philadelphia. You showed a ton of heart. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You showed a ton of heart.
Heart? Man, I ain't trying to hear that shit.
D. It's Rock.
I wouldn't be trying to hear that either. Rocky's right. What else are you going to say other than you showed a ton of heart, kid? You showed a ton of heart. But that's the equivalent of saying, you suck and I'm sorry about that. It's super patronizing, like a little kid.
To Adonis it would be, but coming from Rocky, that's really important to him. Adrian said it to him, that's like, true. You know, you can train him regarding Tommy. You can train Tommy, but you can never give him your heart. In Rocky's universe or in Rocky's family life, anyways, heart is what matters. And even in his life, when he says to Apollo, no, did you give me all you got? Did you give me all your heart and soul in that fight? Rocky, he's okay living in a world where people are better fighters than somebody else. He says that Apollo's a better fighter than him. It was only time to beat Apollo. To him, saying you showed a ton of heart, Adonis is taking the millennial way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get mad.
No, it's okay. Be passionate. It's fine. You're allowed to be. It's okay. You're passionate. I like it.
He doesn't know what Adrian said about Tommy Gunn 20 years ago. As a millennial, perhaps, if I just got beat up in the ring there, I wouldn't want someone trying to give me the consolation prize to make me feel better.
I know that's why he's angry, Kyle. I understand that's why he's angry, but I'm saying as a Rocky fan, we know that Rocky isn't meaning to be condescending, is what I'm trying to get at.
I know. I got triggered.
It's okay.
I got triggered by that millennial comment.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah.
No, and I didn't mean that as a derogatory way. I just meant he's young. My apologies. I don't even know what millennial age is. I think I'm barely out of the millennial age. I'm Generation X or something.
No, you're firmly in Generation X. You're born in 75?
75, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I mean to say is he is young and he's looking at it as a win or loss. You know, I lost. I got the crap kicked out of me. But Rocky's saying, look, you stood toe to toe with an adversary that kicked the crap out of you and you didn't give up. You know, you kept going at it. You kept coming after him. We don't need that kind of man in our life is what Victor was thinking. To Adonis' credit, yes, he showed all the heart he could. But yeah, he got his ass kicked because he was...
True. You're both right. In that Rocky's not meaning for it to, he's being sincere, but he also, unless he lacks all awareness about social cues, he has to understand that that's not what Adonis is trying to hear right now. Maybe later once he's past this immediate hurt, but right now that's only going to make him feel worse. It's telling somebody that just broke up with their boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, oh, well, you know, plenty other fish in the sea.
It's fair.
Yeah, f*** you. Like,
yes.
Right now I'm hurting.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Everything you guys are saying is correct. I'll just go back to his intent. I guess I'm a big fan of intention because I F up all the time with my spouse or with my kids. I never intend to cause frustration or irritate my spouse. You know, like I don't ever intend to do that. I believe intent should go a long way, but it doesn't in life. So I have a soft spot for Rocky's intent. The results are not going to go well. And Rocky in the movies has actually shown us quite a bit where he has said the wrong thing many times. He is he's not a great, he's wise, he's soft, he's good-hearted, but he has said the wrong thing to everyone in his relationships. He's actually said the wrong thing from his son, obviously. So he has a hard time relating to younger people in general.
Good point.
Yeah.
Ryan, I do agree with you about Rocky saying the wrong things, but having good intentions. The only pushback I'll give to that is Rocky has been in Adonis's shoes before. He got an epic ass beating by Clubber Lang, and you see him all frustrated. You see him throwing his helmet at his statue, riding around on his bike, not wanting to talk to anybody. And Apollo, when he sees him in the old gym, Apollo's like, I know that hurt. He's like, when I lost you, I didn't want to hear from nothing or nobody, not even my kids. So like Apollo knows that. He related that to Rocky, and he did a great job. He showed Rocky, hey, I get it, man. I've been in your shoes. I've walked down that road. And Rocky failed to learn from that. He just went into, he's trying to, what Katie said, like there's so many fish in the sea type of. He seemed to have forgotten what he went through and what he learned from Apollo there.
Well, at the very least, he says what he says. Adonis snaps at him.
Yes.
And Bianca's on my side. She goes, hey, come on, Adonis. It's Rocky you're speaking to. Like, show him some GD respect here. We'll get to that. Our Discord blew up after this heated discussion. Melissa agrees that Adonis is pissed and being disrespectful to Rocky. And so does Louise. Louise says that is an angry face at that moment. He's holding Rocky responsible for what happened to him. Melissa goes on to say that he's blaming Rocky, but it's not his fault. Rocky wasn't the one in the ring. Adonis blames everyone else. Louise says, agreed, Melissa. One of the many reasons Adonis isn't as endearing as the other characters. He gets pissy at other people for the issues he's having. And lastly, Melissa says, but in part 3, Kyle, Rocky was mad at himself. Adonis is mad at Rocky here.
I don't actually agree with that. I actually don't remember what he says after this, so maybe I'll be proven wrong by something Adonis says later. Maybe Melissa and Louise remember the dialogue here better than I do. I just think Adonis doesn't want to be bothered right now. I agree with that. When he says, I don't want to hear that shit right now, I'd say the same thing. When I get hurt, I don't want anyone to talk with me or interact with me. I just want to be alone. I'll concede if he says something later where he blames Rocky, but from what we've heard so far, I don't buy that.
This is interesting how we perceive things, because we've done this a few times on our show where I'm like, how does Kyle not see this? It's weird. But and that's okay. That's okay. I just totally see the opposite. I see a pissed off Adonis who blames Rocky, and he's wallowing. Definitely self-pity is the issue here. Woe was me, says Adonis. Yes, he's beaten up to a pulp, so he has every right to feel physical, emotional pain, but he sees the source of it right here in front of him. When Rocky walks in, he's unloaded like, it's all because of you. If you just were in my corner when I came to talk to you outside your house, we wouldn't be having these problems. It would be interesting to see alternate universe had he lost the fight with Rocky in his corner. It'd be interesting to see what their conversation would be in the hospital right now.
I wish I could just remember this conversation. Like, I feel like I'm going to get burned here because in the next line, he'll say something like, why weren't you there? And I'll be like, oh, they're right.
Okay, let's keep going.
I don't remember that either, but I wonder if Adonis is perceiving Rocky's patronizing words as in lieu of, I told you so.
Yeah.
If I were Rocky, I'd be like, look, dude, I told you not to do that, but you did it, and look what happened. But
again, projection. He may be feeling that way, but he's projecting because Rocky would never say that.
True.
He's not saying that.
True.
What about it? Showed a ton of heart.
Heart? Man, I ain't trying to hear that shit.
D, it's Rock.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right.
You guys gotta work it out.
I lost the fight before it even started, right?
No.
So right there, he's saying, you didn't want to be in my corner. You didn't think I could beat him. You told me that outside. Rocky gave us concerns, absolutely, and well, enough that he says, I can't support this because...
Okay, so he says, I lost the fight before it even started.
I think he's referring to their conversation.
You didn't believe I could
do
it?
That's right. He's telling Rocky, remember when you basically said that I wasn't ready for this fight?
You didn't give me the confidence, I guess? Yeah. I'm a little bit more leaning towards what you guys are saying.
And now Rocky's saying, no,
seem to be going down that road, so I'm being interested. I'm interested in what else they're going to say here.
We'll keep going.
Yeah, I know I'm straddling the line, but...
He's big.
I lost the fight before it even started, right?
No. This guy he's a big guy, he's strong. He got the reach, he got all kinds of...
Oh, now you're trying to train me. Be my coach.
See? He's pissed off. Doesn't want to hear nothing from nobody.
Yeah, you're right. Because those things that Rocky said were not training word. He was trying to explain away why it was easy.
He's basically,
why he lost.
Take the emotion out of Rocky loves this kid. Okay, despite our feelings of Adonis, Rocky loves this kid, and he hates seeing him beaten up. Of course, he hates seeing him in this condition. But he's telling the truth without making it like he's trying not to kick Adonis when he's down. He's just saying, "Look, at the end of the day, this guy he's a machine, and he destroyed you because you weren't ready for him. You just weren't ready. Taking the equation of the emotion out of it, you just weren't ready for him. So yeah, he had the reach, he had the height, he had the strength, and he beat you. It sucks, but that's just the physics of this fight."
I think he says next, though, I do remember this next part of dialogue. He says that Adonis's style was not made for this guy.
Well, he said that before also.
I think he's going to say it here.
Okay. So now Adonis to say, hey, no, look at me.
Oh, look at me. Look at me. Man, what are you still doing here? You here to pick up the pieces?
Oh, man.
Should you be in Philly?
Adonis.
No, it's okay.
I just want to cry. I feel so bad for Rocky here. He is just, to see him so uncomfortable and in pain, and he recognizes that he's letting Adonis do this. He's not defending himself. He's not, like, Rocky's not making excuses. He's not saying anything. And even Bianca recognizes the situation. She goes, "I'm sorry, Rocky." And Rocky said, no, don't. It's okay. Just let him.
Just because you're in the hospital doesn't give you the right to be a jerk.
I agree.
Because that did go too far in that last statement, for sure.
Adonis has a bit of an abandonment complex.
But his father left him. You're right.
And he had the jail scene was kind of a bit that way, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He pushes people away before they can leave him type of thing. I'm not convinced yet completely that he's blamed Rocky for his loss, but I do think he is upset that Rocky wasn't there. It definitely seems more that way now, having heard the rest of the conversation there, but...
That's very mature of you to come around like that as a millennial.
Well, you know the phrase with Adonis, too, hurt people hurt people.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Right? When you're hurt, you tend to lash out and hurt others. And Rocky is being speaking of maturity, to me, he's being very mature. And I think he realizes that. He realizes he's hurt. And he knows this is not the time to argue about this.
And you can argue that Rocky's had practice with his brother-in-law, Paulie.
Yes. Yeah, Rocky probably has the thickest skin there is.
Yeah. So he lets people that are emotionally damaged lash out and kind of just lets them get it off their chest. So he's doing that with Adonis here.
I don't want to kill. Take care of each other. Sorry.
Oh. Can we just say the acting of Sly there?
Yeah, it's the best. I really like Sly in this film. In all the films. I think Sly in the Creed movies is on point the whole time.
It's amazing. It's the best he's ever been. It's weird.
Yeah.
As much as we maligned the Creed films, Sly's acting, it's the best of his career. I'll stand by that.
Michael B., like you're talking about before, him not being a good actor. I don't think he's a great actor. He's not horrible. He's okay. He's mediocre. I think the problem is he's next to a guy who's been doing it a lot longer, and this is his wheelhouse. Rocky is what made Sly who he was, and so you're not going to look good next to him either. Although I'd say I didn't like him, Michael B. in Black Panther or anything. I didn't think he was horrible, but...
Well, so everybody talks about how Creed 2, while more enjoyable potentially, isn't as good of a film per se as Creed 1, and that Stallone actually, he won an award for Creed 1 deservingly. But I think his acting is just as good, if not better, in 2 than 1. He wasn't even nominated for anything, was he?
No, but the critics enjoyed the film. He wasn't nominated by the big awards, but nobody said that Stallone's acting had fallen from. I didn't read that anywhere. That's about as good as you're to get with Stallone's critics. The fact that they didn't malign his acting in this.
Yeah.
But yet the way he stepped out of the hospital room. So for our listeners, of course, the way Sly, or the character Rocky, but Sly's acting, where he says, "I'm sorry," and just the way I don't know how to explain it, and the way he just bows out of the waiting room, because there's a part of the Rocky character, I think he thinks in that moment he's never going to see Adonis again face to face, because he actually says to Bianca and Adonis, take care of each other. And I think he's a good point. I think he's saying goodbye. I think he realized that Adonis is so freaking pissed off at me. I've already agreed not to fight him again. He doesn't think, well, we know as a movie that they're going to work together again for the rematch, but in the Rocky character at this moment, there is no rematch. He's seen a broken Adonis who hates his guts right now, has made it clear, aren't you supposed to be in Philly? Get the F out of my room. So he says to Bianca, take care of each other. And then he says, I'm sorry. He realizes, I don't know if I'm going to be able to undo this mess that's happened here. So he's saying goodbye. I think he's saying goodbye to Adonis.
Agreed. What do you think he's saying I'm sorry for?
Everything. Just, I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I should have just been there anyways. Even if I was in the corner and you got beat the way you did, we wouldn't be having this. That's what I mean. They wouldn't be having this conversation. Had Adonis lost this way, Adonis wouldn't be mad at Rocky. He would maybe just be mad at himself, but he wouldn't say, hey, Rocky, you didn't train me properly. I think even Adonis wouldn't do that. He would still see Rocky as being in his corner, at the very least, win or lose. Having Rocky not in his corner and being beat the way he did, he thinks Rocky is that missing piece, which I guess in many ways he is.
Yeah, I never thought of that before, Ryan, that Rocky was saying goodbye, but I think so. I think that's true. I think the comment to Bianca is what sealed that deal. Creed with the oxygen thing on his nose, when he's mad and his face is kind of twitching like that, it reminds me of Hector Salamanca in Breaking Bad. He can't talk, and he has to ring the bell with his finger.
Oh my God, I'll have to rewatch that series because I don't even recall that part.
Well, Adonis is ringing it right now to get his butt wiped by Bianca.
Yeah.
Let's just see how this ends. Boy, I forget quite how this scene ends. So Bianca's comforting Adonis right now. Being a good wife.
He loves you, D.
Look at me.
I'm looking right at you, babe.
How's the baby gonna look at me?
So he asks, how's the baby going to look at me? Well, you're going to be healed by then. Well, the baby will see you, but it won't hear you. Sorry. Yeah, this is all self-pity. This is what I'm getting at. This is complete self-pity.
For when he says, look at me like that, it bugs me. So when he first said, look at me, I was like, why are you saying that? But he says, how's the baby? I look at me. He must know that he's not going to be damaged like this permanently, because of course the baby will have memories for years from now. I think he might be speaking of his legacy. I think he's like, I'm broken. Maybe his physical state here is a metaphor for how he will be long-term in terms of his legacy and stuff. Who would think that, right? Like, imagine if your dad became world champ and then lost to somebody. You'd still be like, my dad was world champ. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, I know.
This is, to me, more of a reflection of how he feels about himself. He's projecting that onto his unborn son.
Daughter.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
He failed as a father, too. He provided a daughter instead of a son.
Hey.
Okay, so we'll stop it there. It shows Rocky exiting the hospital, but we'll save that for the next episode. I am surprised, in a good way, don't get me wrong, that we got a lot of meat out of the scene. I thought that we were going to fly through this hospital meetup scene. I was like, oh, the next scene is them in the hospital, but holy smokers, this was heated, and I love it. I like it. Passionate discussion about that visitation. And it brought up a lot of points I'd never even thought of.
I don't know if this is where it is, but there's a deleted scene where him and Ivan go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, so check it out. So yeah, let's just finish Rocky leaving, because I don't think there's much left to it. So he's leaving the hospital, and can you imagine if they had a fight with Drago coming up here? I remember watching this in the theaters, knowing that this was where the Rocky Drago fight was supposed to be, and I hadn't been told, because I watched it opening night, so we didn't know as a viewer yet had it been cut or not. And so once I heard this music cue kick in, you'll hear it. It was too soft and melancholy, and I was like, oh, okay, there's no way they're going to bring Drago out in the middle of this So Rocky's sadly walking out of the hospital. Yeah, so when I heard that music playing, that musical cue, that told me as a first-time viewer, well, there's no way Drago's going to walk around the corner. But to speak to what Kyle said, yeah, go on YouTube. It wasn't a finished scene, but they showed the behind-the-scenes fight footage of Dolph Lundgren and Sly punching it out in the waiting room. I'm so glad they didn't keep that. I'm sorry. That would have ruined that intense hospital scene had Rocky now throws punches with Dolph Lundgren in the waiting room or Ivan Drago.
Sorry, this is a really stupid detail.
That's what we do here. That's weird.
So in the background, it says Midtown Memorial Hospital, which I just double checked right now doesn't exist, which is fine. It's fine to have a fictional hospital. But what I noticed there is that that must have been filmed in LA or not in New York, because Katie, maybe you could tell me more about this, but it said elevators, but then it had it in Spanish right below. And I don't think you'd have that in a New York hospital.
No, you would. New York probably has more like Puerto Ricans and Cubanos, whereas LA is probably more Mexicans and other like southern border. Yeah, New York, they would have it in either, but I'm sure it was filmed in LA, but both cities would have very large Latino populations.
So any New York listeners here, if you could write into the show, tell me if you've been in a hospital and they have Spanish and English.
I kind of agree with you, Kyle, because LA or California is closer to the Mexican border. So I'm wondering.
I live in Denver, and a lot of public places here have both English and Spanish.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Isn't Luis Spanish? Isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's, I think, Latino.
Latino.
Yeah. Because I've only really been to the northern states. Like, I've been to New York, but I've never been to a hospital there. The farthest south I've been is Utah.
Okay, so Melissa says in Indiana, there's Spanish around there. I'm kind of like you. I've been most of the states I've visited, Pacific Northwest states, so like Washington and what have you. And I don't recall a lot of Spanish in Washington State, but all right. Well, that was an awesome discussion. I had a lot of fun. I love having our little live audience. And again, I want to invite all of our listeners to check us out on Discord so you can catch these discussions live. You'll be surprised. Well, people like Melissa and Louise can attest when they hear this edited version. What doesn't make the cut? Sometimes I cut out jokes that are a little bit too, maybe too, I don't want to get myself in trouble. So I cut out jokes that I a little bit off color or what have you. And we definitely have to edit Kyle. I had a blast. As always, Katie and Kyle are so much fun to record with. And we're just at the halfway point now of the Creed 2 film, if you can believe it. So
Is that all? Are you serious?
Yeah. It's weird, eh? I know we've had a couple of our listeners say to us, "Oh, because Creed 2 sucks." That's fine. That's fine that some people feel that way. But hopefully people keep listening because I think the discussions we bring up still talks about the Rocky character, talks about the universe, talks about past films. I think we do a good job of mingling all those things Rocky and not just say, this is Creed 2, this is Creed 2, this is Creed 2. Like, I think we do a good job of just expanding the universe that the Creed 2 does for us. But anyways, thank you to all our listeners and all the support you guys give us. It is... Whose turn is it?
It is Katie's turn.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Ding, ding.
Let's go there. Let's make our